Hello friends, it's Unicorn Princess here. We're in my living room. The whole house has been deconstructed again. It's a long story. It's fine. So it's been a month, I think, since my last video. This has been a tough month, guys. It's a combination between the fact that we have no money because all of it's going to the Disney holiday if it's not on bills or rent. Yay, adulting. But the cost of living crisis here is insane. I'm sure a lot of places are the same, but we're like on a personal level really starting to feel it now. Yeah, it's hard. It's been a hard time. And wow, classy Nyx. So I've had a lot of time to reflect recently. Not really, I've been extremely busy, but I've been thinking a lot about life and stuff, and I've come up with these 7 things that I've learned since turning 30. Now, I turned 30 during lockdown, right? So currently I'm 32 and I will be 33 in December. And it's weird. It's been weird. There's been some things that have occurred to me, like really sank into my brain only in the past couple of years since I turned 30, and some complete like mind-blowing revelations, right? That when you say them out loud, you're like, yeah, duh. But I'll come back to it. So maybe you don't have to wait till you're 30 to get these things. Maybe us talking about it will just laser beam it into your brain. I don't know. Okay, let's just go. So the first one I really struggle with. Not everyone is going to like you, but it's 2-part. Not just that not everyone will like you, but that you don't need or want them to either. To make an extremely long story short, I recently found out that there are rumors about me in the, I guess, the J fashion community that say some not very nice things. Among them that I am a thief, apparently. Which I am not. And initially when I found out, I'm not gonna lie, I was hurt because I realized that there were friendships that were in the making that kind of fizzled out and disappeared, and I always wondered why they never went anywhere. That's why. Because they found out the stuff about me and I guess decided they didn't want to be my friend. Initially I was really hurt. Not least because who wants crap being spread about them that's not true? Like, nobody ever. But that I had missed out on potential friendships. However, after talking about it with my friends and thinking about it, we kind of agreed that if a person is gonna listen to a rumor and just accept it and go, yep, okay, screw that person, they're not really worth being friends with. If they're not just gonna ask you like for your side of the story or whatever, then they're not really friendships you want to pursue anyway. So I suppose in the long run it's like you dodged a bullet. It's hard to accept, especially for someone like me. I want to be friends with everyone. Really what you want is a small handful of excellent friends, people you know you can trust, people who've been there for you and you've been there for them. Those are the people that you want. It's about quality, not quantity. People literally see the world differently. Now that sounds really obvious, but it's mind-blowing to me. For the longest time, I thought that if I was having a conversation with someone, if I explained something well enough, then they would understand what I was talking about. But that's not true. This is literally not how it works. This occurred to me like 2 days ago. It's been trickling in little by little, but it hit me like a ton of bricks yesterday or the day before when I was on TikTok watching lives, and the conversation was the earth is round, like fight me, you know, give me conflicting opinions. And there were people on there arguing the flat earth perspective, and it was mind-blowing, because it didn't matter how much science or how much proof or whatever, there was doctors in the chat, like scientists and stuff, and it didn't matter, because the people that believe in the flat earth theory, there's a whole bunch of them that have a perspective that basically says, yeah, all of that science is flawed because you've accepted the false reality, so you're never going to see the truth. My mind exploded, because there is no arguing with that. Like, there's nothing you could say to convince a person like that of something else. Science and facts aside, it's irrelevant. And that kind of loops in with the first point, because it occurs to me that no matter how much, even if you have, what do we call it, receipts, even if you have physical proof that what people are saying about you isn't true, people do not care. They have made up their mind, and then if the narrative that they had no longer facilitates their point of view, they'll just make a new one. So it doesn't matter if you have proof that what people are saying are not true. It's irrelevant. Mind blown. We truly have no control. Like, none. All of the things that we put in place to feel like we're in control, like timekeeping and schedules and stuff like that, they're nice and they make me feel comfortable. I'm a big fan of lists and schedules, but largely we really don't have control over anything. Anything can happen at any given time. And like, it's occurred to me in the last year with my my chronic illnesses and stuff like that, I thought that accepting that I have them was the acceptance part, but it's not. It's accepting that I will likely always have them, and that if I want to live life, I'll have to change everything to accommodate that. That's the accepting. And I have never felt more out of control in my life than understanding that there's nothing I can do about my situation. Like, yeah, I can look after myself and stuff, but largely I have to bend to the will of what is. I can't do anything about it. And that sounds kind of doomer. A lot of this sounds kind of doomer, but I think that when you get it in your brain, when you really understand that these things are true, you will be freer generally in life. Like, when you realize that you have no control over anything, you stop trying so hard to get control. And that's, I mean, it's an exhausting pursuit to try and be in control all the time, especially when it's useless. Like, you can't. So, like, for example, I wanted to be more active at the gym so that I can be more fit and pursue different things that I want to do that require me to be more fit. I also just want to make the most of this. I won't always have this, you know? And I was waiting to feel better for days where I felt better to go to the gym. And then I'd feel bad that I hadn't gone because I didn't feel better at any point in the week, so I just never went. And then I had this mind explosion about accepting that this is what it is, and if I want things to change for me, I have to work with it, not against it. I was like, I'm not going to feel better. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and suddenly feel less exhausted or less sore or less sick. It's not going to happen. So I just have to go to the gym even though I feel exhausted and even though I feel like shit. And that was a difficult thought process, and then I thought, fuck it, I'll just go every day, except the weekend. Even if I only go for 10 minutes, even if I just walk to the gym, walk a few steps on the treadmill, and then come back out, that counts. That counts as one. Things take time, but that you shouldn't wish the time away. Time is the only thing you can't have back. You can bargain and buy just about anything else in life. if you can find a way, but there is nothing you can do when time is gone. Time is gone. So like, obviously we're really excited about Florida. I am extremely excited for Disney World, and every time I feel bad about money or whatever, I'm like, yeah, but Disney World. So I do find myself wishing time away so that I can get to Disney World faster, but I could be having fun now. Yes, I'll have lots of fun in Disney World, but what about now? What can you do now? So I started drawing, and I've gotten into a real drawing binge. I've made loads of art recently. I don't have a tablet and I don't have a computer, so I can't color it, I can't put it out anywhere, but I have a butt ton of sketches. And that also counts. I want my own house really, really badly. There is just no way for me to get my own house, except for like hard saving for literally years. Like the minimum deposit for like a 3-bedroom house round about here, or like the surrounding areas, is like a 20 grand deposit. How does one? So you just have to make peace, and it's gonna be what it be. Make plans for your time. Don't wish your time away. Use your time well. And days off and days to chill and days to stay in your pajamas and watch movies, they do not count as time wasted. It is not about your level of productivity. Just, you know, use your time. Feel good in your time. Don't wish it away. Since turning 30, I've realized there's a lot of acceptance. I spent a lot of my whole life sort of fighting against things and fighting to change things, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do those things, but there's a lot about turning 30 where you're like, that's just the way these things are, and that it's better for you to accept that that is what it is. And just, I've spent the majority of my life believing that all people can be reasoned with. Like, you just need to figure out how to communicate with them. All people can be reasoned with. All people can be met somewhere. And I'm not saying that we all have to agree on the same things, but we can all reach an understanding. It's not true. Maybe it's true on a longer time scale, but in your time on Earth, it is not the case. People have to want to understand you, and that's like key. Just like when you see someone with a lot of potential and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna pour my heart and soul into this person because I can see they're capable of all of this stuff. Yeah, only if they want to do that. You're just throwing your energy down a black hole otherwise. You could pour and pour and pour for years. It won't make a difference. And in fact, they might perceive that as something negative. Your encouragement could be perceived as like judgment or pressure or whatever, because other people have to want to be in the same boat as you. They have to want to change. They have to want to understand. If someone's made up their mind on something and they don't want it to be changed, and that's the key. There are people who are open to conversation, who are like, I want you to prove me. As soon as you can accept that when you've extended your olive branch or whatever to people and they say, no, I'm not interested, leave it alone. Accept that that is their answer and walk away. The past, if you've got pain or hurt or whatever in the past, it's probably always gonna be there. Like, you're always gonna remember, it's always gonna be present in your brain. But two things to note. One, it does change. Your feelings about it change. The impact of it does change over time. Not necessarily go away, but it does change itself. So something that might have been a really painful experience at the time, give it 10 years. I'm not saying it won't be painful anymore, but the type of pain will evolve and probably become more manageable, less spiky. But this is like a two-part thing. The first is that time will change how you feel about it, but the second part is that it is your choice how you pursue the memories. So there are things in my past that are, I don't know, top shelf pain, right? And I lived in top shelf pain with those memories for a long time. And time did start to change my feelings about it, but whenever I revisited these memories, I soaked up the pain and really lived in it, really lived with it. And it kind of occurred to me that I am choosing to do that to myself. I'm choosing to go back into these memories, stand in them and bathe in them, soak up their juices. That's a bad move. Firstly, I cannot encourage therapy more. If you got stuff you need to work through, like working through it with a trained person is such a good plan. If you want to go back into your mind and revisit painful memories, painful thoughts, your choice to sit and stew in your juices is your choice. And I was told once in the past that I was privileged to have a positive outlook on whatever it was we were talking about. And that made me extremely angry because firstly, privilege is something you are given, right? Something that you are handed, often that you're born with, that makes your life better or easier or whatever. I was not given a positive outlook. I work tirelessly to have a positive outlook. I fight the overwhelming negative feelings and negative thoughts from extremely dark places. I have a library of awful memories that I could perceive very badly. I could live in them and relive them over and over again, and I did that for years. And where I am now, I've learned over time that it kind of comes around to acceptance again. Things happen. Life is full of shit. And it happens to everybody, and that's not to belittle the things that have happened, but they have happened. They happened in the past, and I can't change the fact that they are. You know? They are. So I shouldn't fight it. They are, they happened, they have been, they exist. What I focus on doing is kind of digesting them. I'm like, yep, that happened. It happened for no reason, no fault of my own. It was just shitty because shitty people. And then you go, why? Why did it happen to me? Or why did it happen so often? The true terrible reason is because shit happens. There is no why. It's awful, right? It's horrible, but there is no why. Sometimes bad things happen. And in a perfect world, it's not fair. In a perfect world, it shouldn't have happened. Yeah, 100%. I am there. But we don't live in a perfect world. We live here. And here, shit happens for no reason. And you can beat yourself up. You can beat other people up. You can stew in your angry juices and feel your hurt and relive your pain over and over again. Or you can accept that shit happens, that shit has happened, that some people are shit, and say, and now they're gone. Now I don't know them. Now I have chosen to move forward. Now I don't live in that life anymore. Look at this distance I've created. And then you can look at your current life and say, look at these improvements I've made. Look how fewer assholes I've met since I figured that out. And that might take a long time. It took me a long time. I think I'm still learning that, actually. A lot of people get upset at the idea that you choose how to feel about things. and maybe it needs a little bit more explanation. You have an initial reaction to something that you can't control. You know, if you find out that your partner cheated on you and you just walked in on them, I'm not saying you can control that gut punch that you feel. There is an initial feeling. After that has been processed, after that, then it's your choice. You choose how to think about it, you choose how to pursue it, and how to move forward with it. Why did this happen? Because sometimes shit happens. But why to me? Because I am one person in billions of people on the planet. Everyone has shit. I wasn't picked specially. They didn't come for me. They didn't wake up the powers that be and go, her! Today let's fuck her up. This person was my friend. Why did they hurt me? Hard question. And I guess you won't always know the answer. And the answer is probably not going to be good. But people are flawed. And other people are working through their own stuff as well. So sometimes they don't mean it. Sometimes they do because they have their own shit. And the only thing that you can do is acknowledge that it is, that it happened, and do you care about them? Do you want them in your life anymore? No. So cut them out, put them to the side, and move forward without them. It's their loss. Sometimes it might be you. Sometimes you might be the asshole. And that's not a permanent state. If you're able to look at yourself and speak to therapists, for example, and say, okay, what did I do? What's my part? And what did I not do? As long as you're always self-evaluating. Knowledge is two-part. There's knowing it in your brain, and then there's knowing it. Like a physical experience of knowing it. I've had this many times in my life. Maybe you haven't had it yet, but you'll know it when it happens. There are things you know logically. Things like sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. As a teenager and a young person, words fucking hurt. As an adult, words hurt. That's garbage, right? But there is a penny drop moment that you feel in your gut when you realize that the words will only hurt you if you let them. Again, that it sounds like a cop-out, but it kind of cycles back to the choice thing. If some asshole at work stands next to me and says, well, you're an ugly bitch, and I'm hurt by that, I'm choosing to let those words hurt me because, and here's the reason. Firstly, who's this asshole? Do I know them? Do I care about them? Are they a close personal friend? Does their opinion hold like high value to me? Is this like, I don't know, someone extremely important delivering a huge piece of information? Or are they a nobody? Doesn't know me and I don't know them. They're just some asshole. Measure your critic. If you're just some asshole, then your opinion, your hurtful words mean nothing. Nothing. Who the fuck are they? Likewise, maybe the situation has changed and it's more complicated. Maybe a friend who has become not your friend said something awful to you or about you. Circling all the way back to my very beginning, they're saying horrible things about you and you're hurt. You're like, you were my friend. Yeah. Emphasis on were. They were your friend. There is a reason they're not your friend now. And one of those reasons might be that they're an asshole. But there is a moment in time, often, where there's a penny drop moment and you feel it. It's a knowledge of feeling, like it's in your muscles, in your fibers, and you're like, oh my god, I understand that with my body now. The choice thing, even people who accept that mentally, it's really not going to be a thing until you feel it in your being. And I'm not saying it's easy. You really, really have to practice mind control. Like, my brain wanders into painful places constantly, like several times a day, especially at night when I'm lying in bed. That's the worst. And if you find yourself wandering towards them and it's just memories flooding in and you're feeling worse and worse, consciously pick yourself up and walk the fuck away, walk away, and tell yourself, this is not doing me any good. Anyway, how are your 30s? How are your 20s or your teens? Tell me all about it. You could not pay me to be a teenager again. I feel for you guys. I can't be more happy that I did not grow up in an age where we had this much social media when I was a teenager. Oh my god, that just sounds horrendous. So leave me your questions, your queries, your gripes about life in the comments. Give me your thoughts and feelings, and maybe we can do this again, maybe in like a shorter, more digestible format. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that stuff, and I will see you guys next time.